Hello, welcome to this new video on Java methods, and we are going to discuss about Java methods in this video, and we are also going to discuss about the method overloading. So we're just going to study these topics today. What are the Java methods and what's method overloading? So let's get started. So I'm going to start with an example. We just do it by example. So I'm going to create a class here. We want to call it a calculator, and this is a class, it's a calculator, and the method is, we can just create methods in this class. Let's say we want to add two numbers, so we can call this method, we can name it add, and let's say it adds two numbers and it adds integer numbers. So we can declare the type of this. It takes two parameters, we call it int a and int b, and we have to give a access modifier is a public method, and int, it means it returns you a value of integer type, because this method will return something. This is a method you call it, called with two integer parameters, and it should give you a value back. So let's say, we can say sum equal to a plus b, and then we have to do is return sum. Yeah, so good. So we have a class, and within the class we have a method, and you can see the method has really three parts. One of them is what kind of method is this? Is this a private method, or it's a public method, protected method? This different kind of access modifiers. So this is a public method, so anybody can call this method. Second thing is return type. What kind of data is going to return? So in our case, we know that this is going to return integer. And next is the name of the method and what kind of parameters does it take. So in this case, this method takes two parameters. Both of them are integer types. And within the method, this is just the body of the method. We just add those two numbers, a plus b, and we store this in another variable called sum. And then we're just going to return this sum. If you want, you can also just simply say, instead of doing this int sum equal to this, we can also say like this, return a plus b. So that will also work. So we have a method here, and we're going to go to this calculator, this main class here, and we're going to create an object out of this calculator class. We got the calculator class, and we're going to call this calculator, and we see it has a method add. We can pass two parameters. We pass 5 and let's say 7, and we know that it returns a integer. So we call this calc.add. We pass these parameters, returns a sum, and we can just print this value. Sum equal to, and let's run it, sum equal to 12. Yeah, so this is good. So this is the way you call a method, and in the calculator class, you can see this is the way you declare a method. So this is a simple way of declaring a method. A method has arguments and it has a return type. There may be methods which don't have any return type. They're called void. If a method doesn't have return type, you can call it a void. So let's say this is void print something. So whatever you print here, let's say string, so you're going to just print whatever you pass, it will just print. So this is another example of and we say print st. That's it. So what this method does is, this is another method, we call it print something, it takes one argument which is of string, and we just print that thing on the screen. You can see this method don't have any return statement, and you see the return type is a void, mean it doesn't return anything. And if you go here in the main, you can just say again, system dot println and void method called, and let's say what we do is we use calculator calc dot, we say print something printed from void method. We just put whatever you want to put it here. Okay. Okay. So what happened here is let's say okay, maybe I make a mistake. Let me just accept it out here. So idiot is like this, and we know yeah, it doesn't really return you anything. So what we can do is calc plus, okay, so you don't need to really put this here actually. So let me just clean out. So yeah, you say calc dot print something and print it from void method. That's what you're passing to it. And you can see sum is the 12 and it printed from void method, so it went there and it just printed this one actually. So yeah, we don't really need this one here, so I'm going to get rid of this one. So this was about the methods, but what I also want to discuss as part of this same video is method overloading. So what's method overloading actually? So it's called method overloading. So method overloading is really means you could have multiple methods in the class with the same name but different parameters. So what that means? So you would have an add method which takes two parameters as int a and int b. This is one method. You could have another method which takes three parameters, p, int, c, or you could have another method which, let's say, takes float a and int b. You can see there are different methods, but they have the same name actually. So you can define this kind of stuff, and depending upon what kind of parameters you pass to that method. So if you pass three parameters, this method gets called. If you pass two parameters and both of them are integers, this method gets called. If you pass two parameters, first one is a float, other one is a integer, this method gets called. So let's do it by an example so that we can get a more clarity on this one. So I'm going to remove this one. We don't need this one. This way. And I want to put a, so this is first method. So let's say I'm just going to copy it. Let's say we have three parameters now. Int c, and now we so this method takes two parameters. This takes three parameters, and it returns So let's have another method. Let's say it takes let's say it's called float a. Now because if it's a float, so it has to return float value here, because if you add a float number to an integer, it will give you a float, which will be the result of this one. So we have three methods. As you can see, all these methods have the same name, add. The only difference is the parameter, number of parameters and type of parameters. So what makes a method overloaded is that the name has to be same and the number of parameters has to differ. Actually, it has to be different. If it's the same number of parameters, their types has to be different. Like in this case, there are two parameters, both are integers. In this case also there are two parameters, but their types are different. One is float and one is int. So just to make sure we know the right method is called, we are just going to put little print statement here so that we know which method got called. So we say we know this got called. So okay, this got called. This is one. let's print here. So in this case we know that this method got called with 3 parameters, so we put 3 parameters, and here we say and with these 2 parameters, but okay, so we have now 3 different methods here, and we go to the main here, and I'm going to just get rid of this one. Okay, so I only call the first one here. Let's call second one here sum1 equal to calculator, and add, and I'm going to pass 3 parameters. Let's say I want to pass 3 comma 4 comma 5, and let's print this value. So here's so now it's called sum1, and also let's call one more time with the floating point. So let's say we say 3.4 f6 float. Sum1 is clear, so we go sum2. Sorry. So as you can see that I'm calling 3 different methods. This was called with 2 integers, I'm printing the result here. This was called with 3 integers, printing the result here. This was called with the 2 parameters, but first parameter is float. If you remember from previous tutorials that in order to indicate a float you have to write f next to that number. So we just put f there, and you will know that in each one of these cases, although the method name is same, but it's going to call the different method. So let's try to run and see how it works. Oh yeah, so this is, see, first one is add int ab call, and the sum is 12, and int abc call, and sum is 12, and next one is float, this one called, sum is 9.4. yeah, 6 plus 3 9. So second one is 12. I want to make sure, let me just change it to something different so that we not get confused. This is same result coming. So let's say, oh yeah, so it's first is 12, 15, and 9.4. So as you can see, depending upon the type of parameters you pass, this is it will pick the right method. So this is called method overloading. So you can have n number of methods in a class, and depending upon the type of the parameters or the number of parameters, it will call the right method for you. So this is Java overloading. In the next tutorial we will touch on the Java overriding, how to method overriding. So today we touch on the method overloading, and in the next tutorial we're going to talk about the method overriding. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like the channel. Thank you so much. Bye bye.